Hey everyone, just a little video for you here. So these little tiny objects, which are square, are meant to fit into this round hole in the bottom of the legs. So there's a couple of things that you have to do with these. One is you got to make sure that any nubs that you have on the ends are squared off, right? So you don't want any nubs sticking up. So that's the first thing you want to do. Now these legs are supposed to be adjustable, but the tolerances of the holes aren't that tight to where they're going to mind in. So they just fit in to the hole as such. But if they don't go all the way in, that's because there is still some casting material that's left inside of it. So you want to get a drill bit that's about 1 millimeter wide, because this is about 1 millimeter or a little bit less. Okay, you'll have to check and see. And if you guys can see, there's this white powder coming out of there. That is the compound that's used to ensure that the hole is a hole when they're actually making this. So you can see here, you can see about how deep your drill bit goes in. So basically what you're trying to do is clean some of that out. Once you clean that out, you should be able to take your rod, put it in the hole once again, and that still doesn't quite make it. So that means there's still some more compacted in there. The good thing is you can see that once you get it in there, you can start rotating it around. Now, the bad thing is don't stick this thing in too far into that soft white powder that's in there, because you could wind up breaking off the end when it gets stuck and you try to get it out. So you want to try to get as much of this powder out, just again, by just using a drill bit. This one's an undersized drill bit, so I could get some more in there. And I'm not sure that a file would work, because you're trying to get it out. Okay, so see, now it fits in there and it moves nice and smoothly. Okay. Right now, I wound up breaking one of them trying to get it out. So it is now in the position of I'm trying to get it into the camera view. There we go. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's currently, there it is. It's currently being held up. You can see right here. This one right here. It's currently being held up by this clamp straight up and down, so that the glue, hopefully the super glue that I used, will hold that. And then I'll be able to use that into its thing. So remember, clean up the little dust that's on there. It'll make it a lot easier, because your next step is to start putting the wheels and things together. All right, so now I'll finish cleaning this up and we'll move on. All right, so now it's time to do a little bit of assembly. I've already got one there. This is going to be fairly easy on this particular portion. So this will go in there, but first we're going to paint these before we make them permanent. However, you can, these are just press forms. You can see here the two, oh, sorry, let's get over here. These two little knobs that stick up, and then you have this. All they do is just fit in there over like that, and there you go. That's on there. So that's a nice, easy way to put them on. It doesn't matter which way they go, whether it's left or right, right or left. They all just work the same, okay? So those are all set, and you see they do work. A little bit more paint in there. They're going to be nice and tight. Now, the next thing, which I'm not going to do yet, because we have one other thing we have to do, one major, is I have to put those into there. Now, I had to go out and get several different polystyrene rods, which luckily they had some. So I've tried to use the 1 inch or the 1 millimeter. That was a little bit too big. So I got 88 millimeter and 64 millimeter. So let's see which one of these works a little bit better, especially the 88. That should be really, really, really close. And I also got a 30 rod too, just in case. Nice, small, tiny ones. But yeah, I tried a 1 mil and that wasn't working. So, I actually asked Model Mechanic and he wasn't sure what size this was. He says he just keeps a lot of rods around. Okay, so you can see there that fits in there nicely. There's not a lot of tugging and pulling. So those are going to be the ones that we're going to put in there when I get ready to do that portion of it. Okay. Our next little portion that we have, which is a little bit of a problem, is the actual bottom section going to the top section. This is where it's going to be a little tricky. Let me get a little pointer out. You guys notice these little slots right here, right? All the way along. There are 6 of them in total. On this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cross braces. One of the problems with the cross braces is it is a little flexible. So we're going to have to figure out how we can keep that up. I see that there's a couple of little areas that we can hook into. And there's also some areas there that we can go underneath. So those might be enough to get us to where we need to go. All right. Now, the way that this goes on, if you're looking at this section here is what's going to pick up the concrete. This section here is going to be the platform that they stand on. There are a bunch of these T's. Let me just show you. Sorry, I did this off camera again. There's a bunch of these T's that come here like that. They do not belong. Okay, so they don't need to be on there, so you can cut them off. I'll have to go back and touch up some paint because you can see here that there were 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see I've got a lot of paint I got to touch up in different areas. So, yeah, see, the other thing is we could come from underneath and push it up. Okay, so with that all being said, you can tell the front from the back because of where this ladder is. The ladder goes to the back. Okay, now these are supposed to fit right into there, but you can see they won't go straight down. So we're going to have to open up those channels just a little bit. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and get our files out. I think the center ones, which are a little bit thinner, might actually fit in there. No, they don't fit either. So we're going to have to do some filing. So I will be right back. Okay, for this, we're going to use the square file. I don't like using too much because you don't want to take too much of this off because it's a very, very tight fit. And that's not even going to fit in there. And you got to watch it because these things are fragile. All right, we're going to have to get a side one. I don't want to go down too deep with it. That's why I wanted to do this square, but it seems like it doesn't want to play. So we'll take out a normal little file. I don't think it's going to really matter which side you do this on. It's not a lot. You don't want to take off too much. So I try to do it on both sides. I would imagine that this is centered a bit. Of course, you got a ladder that's in the way on this one. I'll try to do one. And we'll try to come back here and do this one a little. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of touch-up that's going to have to happen on this thing. That's why a lot of times I don't like doing the other paint until I actually get it set up. Okay, so this is, on the end is very, very close. That center one looks like it's really close too. Let's take off a little bit more on the end. I mean, you could conceivably also go in and take some off of the whole support. It's up to you which one you want to do. It's a 50-50 thing, I think. I'm just trying to get it so I can fit it. So that will fit in there now. Okay, so that's good. So now the question is, will the second one fit? Do I need to put more in there? Okay, the second one fits. So now we can start going down the line and making the other ones a little bit bigger. See, like I said, it wasn't going to take too much. Okay, so let me go do that off camera and I will come back and show you what happens. Okay. So I've come through and I've got the two ends done. Now, like I said, about this being fragile, I kind of broke this. So we'll just put some repair in there and we'll take care of that. So this is what my problem is. See how this bends down? We've got to get that to go up in there. So you can see it will fit in there because it's a nice tight fit. But we're going to have to help that out to stay up there while it's being glued. Okay, so we've got the fit. We've got to make it right. What I'm going to do to make it a little bit better is this just comes on both of these little areas. So we're just going to take off just slight bit to expose the plastic. That'll give us a little bit of a better gluing surface. Now the glue that I'm using, I should use a gel, but I don't think I have the gel. It is the cyanoacrylic. It's gap filling medium, so it is kind of a 5 to 10 second glue. And Instacure, they have these all over the place. So it's just a cyanoacrylic one that I'm using, or super glue as people like to call them. Okay. Remember, you don't need to put a whole lot of glue on. And the 10 to 15 seconds is nice because it gives me a little bit of time to work this. You already saw that it's going to take a little bit. So let us go ahead and we will get some glue going down. Let me just find something to put the glue on with. And I don't have anything, so we're going to improvise and use something that they already gave us. It's always a good thing. Okay. Shake up our glue. I mean, you could put it directly on there, but a lot of times that's too much. So if you put too much down there, it's going to just take longer for it to absorb. And yes, I am frantically looking for something to stick my glue on. If you guys are wondering what I'm doing. Looks like a good cup. Nice thing is, with the back of this, it won't matter if I have glue on it. I just need to make sure I don't turn it back over until I'm done. All right. So, let's just pick this up. I'm just gonna dab a little bit in each one of these areas. Get a lot more control this way. And again, like I said, the good thing is I have 5 to 10 seconds to do this. I'm not going to use an accelerator. And to be perfectly honest, by putting the smaller amounts on there, you're more than likely, less likely to get it on your fingers. Okay. So again, turn this, make sure the ladder is in the right place. I want to line up my one side because I know that that's good. We just line these two up. Really tough to get in there. Gotta watch your fingers because there's a lot of fragile parts. Go over here, do the same on the other side. Of course, we're going to pop that side out. Of course we are. Because this is the tighter of the two sides. Always, on this particular model, try to hold the center section as much as possible. That's the most rigid. So we are going to go in here and we are going to try to get some of this down. Just like that. You can see I'm just pushing it down on in there to get it to sit. Okay, let's turn it around. Again, it was nice that I was able to get in there and do this tightly because this fits in there nice and snug now. Didn't want to open up those holes a lot because now this will self-hold itself in place, right? You can see here. I'm just using what pressure I can with the tweezers because there's not a lot of room for me to get in there. And a lot of the places. Okay, so here's another place. We're going to try to get into this one here. Just bring it down a little. Now this one is really hard to get it into the exact position that you want it. It's probably going to be off. Mine's a little bit too much to the back. Don't know how I'm going to move that forward. I don't think it matters that much. Again, this is a little brittle, so I don't want to take too much of it up there. And I got to go back and fix that rail right there. So yes, I have had to repair some things on this as I go, but it hasn't been too bad. So we need to let that dry for a few minutes. Okay. And that's how we're going to get that one on, because you can see here that, yeah, with my, I had to get a little bit scruffy in there. So it's a little tough to build. And again, this could have been done. I could have put this all together first and then painted it. But it's a plus or minus. It depends upon how you want to do it. Now, I got to go look again at my Gamco site, which is what I've been looking at during this time. So this is the site that I go to see how I have to put these things on. And what I'm looking at now is the top. So the nice thing is that this has got a really nice brochure more or less all the different pictures that you might need to put this together. And so if I'm looking at this, that is going to be where the stack is, so the oil will be on the other side. Okay, we may have to open these holes up just a tiny bit. That drill bit is way too big. So this is going to go right in here. That's another one of our, and then you can see how I didn't want to put these in yet because they would have been in the way and I probably would have crushed them. So just a little word to the wise. Just be careful of what you put on and in what order you put it on. So I would put the stacks on last because you need this top area to work a little bit, okay? So sometimes drill bit's easier, sometimes the little knife is easier. In this case, the knife worked fine. We'll put a little glue on this and get that in there, just like that. Now this piece is tiny and I have big fingers, so we go back to our little tweezers. Let's get that piece on there. Just like that. Okay. There are your major pieces for drying. Now, while those are in a drying state, I'm going to set up so that I can show you guys how to do the pins. Hi everyone, Steve87th here. Sorry this was a long episode, but this was some important stuff and I wanted to get it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode as we continue this build.